Welcome into the Illini Inquirer podcast. Derek Piper, Joey Wagner. Pleased to be joined by Illini head coach Brad Underwood to discuss the summer and dive into a variety of topics. How are we doing today, Brad?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. It's exciting time. It's the end of summer. Guys get to go home for a little bit, and coaches get to kind of catch our breath. And it's always refreshing to get to early August.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure you're glad to get out of some AAU gyms as well, right, Coach?
It was, we recruit more now, Pipe, and as you know, we recruit more now than we probably ever have, and with scholastic events and busy summer with Ty on the USA team, and now Zach playing with the French national team, and so you can go see all those games and the World Championship. So it's a busy time.
I wanted to start off asking you about the team, about the summer a little bit, and I know you've gone back and talked a lot about a new energy around this team, and you brought that up quite a bit. And I think that summer is usually a good time for building chemistry. With a new group, I would imagine that's a pretty big emphasis this summer. How have you seen that grow amongst your team chemistry-wise?
Well, Derek, I think the one thing that gets lost sometimes, we did a lot of teaching this year. That's what I love. And not to say we didn't in the past, but we were a little bit flat. I mean, Trent and DeMonte could go run our practice, last year. I mean, they knew it, they had seen it, and there's comfort in that as a coach. And yet it's a little bit different this year when there's so much teaching. I love that. That gives me a spark of energy. It's those guys were great listeners. They were willing to buy in every day. Was fun to be on the court with them. And we changed a little bit. Last year was a little more individualized. This year was a little more team, just in terms of trying to educate them as much as possible on our lingo. And again, it was fun. There was a lot of teaching, a lot of fundamental things, and that's one of the things I really enjoy.
I want to zoom in, Brad. I know you talked to us. We just talked to you a little bit ago about Terrence Shannon, and you said like 445, 600 shots. You've thrown and I know you don't do it lightly, you've thrown the comparison to like an IO work ethic with him. What does that look like? I mean, is that kind of what you thought you were getting with him, or has he exceeded what you maybe thought?
He's exceeded it. And I say that in a really good way. We knew a lot about Terrence and his work ethic, and and conversations with Chris Beard, and we knew what we were getting. But Terrence is also that guy that we have to back him off a little bit, and you've got to take care of your body, and but he is very driven. He's got a tremendous love and passion for basketball and getting better at it and working at it. There's no off play with him. Every play is 100% full speed. And if you're not going at his speed, he's going to let you know that. And, but he's a great, he's not afraid to bring guys to the gym with him. And that piece is exciting. If we get guys trying to outwork TJ, man, we're going to be in great shape. But, he's got a great maturity about him, and yet we want to be really careful. I mean, it's great. We need him to be really, really efficient in his work, and not just spend hours in the gym because it sounds good.
Do you have a fun Terrence Shannon workout story that you can share with us? What you kind of seen out of him these last few weeks?
No, you know what? I mean, he there's no real story because he's really consistent. But I've loved his leadership. He's stepped into those roles, and his competitive drive is really high. And he's going to get in somebody's shirt, as Io did. And if you didn't match that level that he thought you needed to help his team win, Io was very much that way. And that was what Trent was all about. It was what Andres Felice was all about. And if you don't match that competitiveness, you're going to get embarrassed. And TJ's got no problem trying to dunk on you and embarrass you.
Brad, it's obviously a different circumstance to have a newcomer like Terrence embrace a leadership role. Maybe you're looking for the same thing out of Matthew Meyer as well. Was that a conversation you had with them maybe after they joined on board with you, that you needed that out of them based on the newcomers and just a young overall nucleus?
Sure, we talked about it with him in the process, and Matt's been where we want to go, and there's tremendous knowledge that he can help us with, and not just our players, our coaches, and getting to that national championship game. And we don't want him to be silent on that. We want him to be a vocal leader, and we want him to express the positive things that went on with his teams at Baylor that were so successful. And the same with TJ. And the one thing that they have is 90 plus games under their belt. Those guys have a ton of experience, and they've all scored 20 in a game. They've all been great rebounders, great defenders, guarded great players. And there's a lot of knowledge to gain from those two guys. So we need that. Coleman's no doubt the leader of that on our returning group with a lot of games and a lot of minutes. But again, he's going to blossom into that role as well. So we get those three guys. You've got a guy I think is natural leader in Lou Goody. You've got RJ Melendez that's potentially one of the outstanding players on our team and in our conference, and he's grown into that. So it's fun to watch young guys kind of peel the layers of the onion back and start to blossom in leadership. And those two veterans that we talked about, the new guys, have helped, but it's also been fun to see those other guys grow.
You have a really talented freshman class, and it's becoming more and more evident. Seem to be a really tight-knit group as well. I know you spoke on that earlier in the summer. How have you seen that play out throughout summer workouts, or maybe even just off the floor, and how those guys interact and push each other and just communicate?
Yeah, they room together. They're together all the time. They're in the gym all the time. And yet the thing that I've got great appreciation for throughout the summer is they want to kick each other's butt. And I mean, it's go at it every day. And whether it's a one-on-one game, whether it happens to be a possession on the defensive side, there's a real competitive nature about all four of those guys. And yet it stays there. It's very, very healthy. And they've helped each other learn. They've helped each other grow. And, to find a group that has that competitive spirit is really unique. And all those dudes are really, really competitive, and they've helped push each other. But along the way, every time you see them, they're together.
Sincere is, I remember after he signed, I think I told you this, Brad, like just talking to him, you can feel that this dude's pretty intense. How is that translated to the college level? And now he's kind of, more on even footing with some of these teammates. How's that balance work?
Oh, Sincere's been great. And I think the one thing that sometimes freshmen come in and they're a little timid and meek. And I say that in this way. They don't want to ask questions. They're afraid of what they don't know. And so they don't want to ask. And they especially don't want to ask in front of a group. Sincere, especially. That isn't him. He doesn't know it, or he doesn't understand it, or he wants to understand why. He asks. I have great appreciation for his ability to just want to dive in and absorb knowledge. And along the way, it doesn't, again, in Sincere's case, he said, who's the best defender you've coached? Was it Trent Frazier? I said, he's one of them. He said, I'm going to make you forget about him. And probably some ignorance in that, not knowing how good Trent was and having faced that, but you love that confidence and that swagger. And we've seen that with Ty Rodgers. We've seen that with Jaden in terms of their approach. And that's pretty special. That's fun to be around.
When you go in here, Brad, and I know we've talked all summer really with you about a new system and playing differently, but I want to dive into that a little bit. Like, there has to be a starting point for inspiration when you decide this? What was that for you? What did you kind of look to first? Was it your team? Was it elsewhere to kind of get some of these early ideas?
A year ago, when we didn't think we were going to have Kofi. So, we spent a lot of that spring and summer like, okay, how are we going to play? And obviously Bello was going to be a piece of that. Trent, we knew we had those upperclassmen coming back. But it started then, and a lot of research, a lot of diving into NBA stuff. A lot of the NBA game has become 5 out, and it's become 1 through 5 switching. And so now you're trying to figure out how to play and fit those pieces with your pieces. And then one of the things on the recruiting side was really simple. Okay, we're replacing Kofi. We're not going to go find 7 foot, 300 pounds, but let's go find positional size and guys who can do different things with size. And 2 years ago, it was big wing shooters and 6'6", 6'7" guys. This year was a little different. We tried to go out and get guys who could, knowing we were losing Trent, knowing there was a chance to lose Curbelo, but beating guys off the dribble, guys who could do some things with the ball. And we accomplished that. So it started a couple of years ago. It's continued to evolve and develop on both ends of the court. And we got delayed, a little bit last year when Kofi's returned, and with Curbelo's concussions and injuries, that changed how we played. But it's been not far from our mindset for a couple of years now.
Coach, I know in the past you've talked about studying the teams that have done well in the NCAA tournament. Has that been at all an inspiration too, as far as what works, whether it be what it's taking to get to the Final Four and what that looks like roster construction wise, play style wise? Has that been a topic of conversation too?
Sure, absolutely. I want to win a national championship, and that's the goal every single day. And figuring that piece out, that's we've still got that box. We haven't unlocked yet. And you look at guys and everybody makes a big deal about age and experience, and numbers show that. I think Kansas was 22.3 years of age last year. But you also look and see Christian Brown, Obaji, McCormick were 4-year guys, and guys that grew up together and played together and developed. And I still like that concept. Yet we've hit the portal with some success with Plummer, and yet we know versatility on both ends is a big part of team success. And we faced one in Houston this year, just multiple guys who could do different things. They put different guys in ball screens. They were tough, and a ton of quote unquote wings. And I think the game's going to that. And yet every single night in our league, we're going to face, legit size. So that's what we wrestle with. There's always going to be a center. And, we've got to continue to battle that night in and night out for 20 nights and, 23 games if you're in the tournament. But I think it translates. I think it works. And I'm excited to kind of build with this group. And I think we've eliminated Kofi's size, obviously, but I think we've gained in other positions in other areas.
I know you've said that you haven't got a chance to do a lot of X and O stuff potentially this summer, but in terms of tinkering with what you could potentially do with this roster with a new play style, how has that played out with you in your mind or amongst your coaching staff? And then how do you think it'll be implemented as you push towards the fall?
Well, pace is obviously something we've got to get back to. The one thing that hasn't changed, the easiest time to score is in the first 7 seconds. And we've got to get back to running. We've got to get back to playing fast in those time frames. And that's shooting threes, that's layups and free throws in those early 7 seconds. And then I think we've got to figure out, what that looks like in the half court still. We've done just a lot of very simple ball screen stuff from 5 out stuff and playing. letting guys understand the importance of making the reads out of a ball screen and the tags, but the court's wide open. So we've talked a tremendous amount of spacing. We've talked a lot about cutting. I think this group has got some elite cutters, but throwing the ball to a guy like we did Kofi or like we did Io, that will develop to a certain extent as we move forward. But I'm more interested right now in our guys understanding how to play, gaining feel, gaining trust in each other, just off a simple ball screen, and the floor is wide open. And so we've spent literally the entire summer. We haven't put in one set or one action. It's just been literally playing with feel, the ability to drive it, teaching them fundamentals, jump stops in the paint, unselfishness, looking for teammates, and playing off that. And it's amazing how much success we have built over the summer playing that way. And you know, you look at a Kansas last year, you look at a Villanova, those are teams that kind of just play. And then they pick their opportunities. Poston, Matt Meyer, Poston, TJ Shannon, you know, playing Coleman as a 5, playing Matt Meyer as a 5, looking at some different options there. You know, posting Ty Rogers and playing him on the ball some. You know, all those things are in the deck, and now we've got to be able to finalize then how we get to those spots and how we get players in those positions.
You were hiring Chester and Tim last year. Like, that was when you were kind of still in that, maybe Kofi will be here, maybe he won't. How did you have those conversations with those guys where the style could be really differently and you're kind of asking them to sign up for 2 different ideas?
Yeah, they're both really smart. I mean, really smart. And so, you know, Chester had been locked in a little bit to a certain way, obviously with Bruce, and he knew that system very, very well, especially on the defensive side. It was a little bit different than what we did, but a lot of concepts were the same. You know, and then those guys are intelligent, so they could learn on the fly. Tim was actually around guys that could post a little bit at DePaul, but it's more their feel. It wasn't a deciding factor for them in their decision or mine. But you know, I try to hire guys that are smarter than me and can adjust and have backgrounds in different areas. And again, I think it's one of the things that's helped me a lot is my junior college background. It's helped Jeff. You know, sometimes you've got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable at certain things. And you know what, we changed with Kofi, it worked. And I had a lot of success denying and overplaying wings, and that worked. And you got to match it to your personnel, and that's what we're going to try to do with this group.
We've heard you talk about that junior college background a few times. Like, what is it, the roster building, maybe the style change year to year? Like, what specifically do you lean into most from that time?
That's a small piece of it. I mean, I've had years where I've had 10 guys that are new. If those 10 guys don't jive and get along and have chemistry, I don't care how talented you are, you're not going to win. It's one of the lessons I learned early. I had a front line at Dodge City Community College of Art Long, Willie Cauley, and Stanley Hamilton. All 3 of them were pro potential players. We couldn't beat anybody. And we didn't have we were freakishly talented, but we didn't have the right locker room chemistry, and we had too many distractions and issues. That's the biggest thing I've taken from my junior college background is how do you develop, how do you mold, and how do you get guys to play for each other in a fairly quick amount of time, and know that you might only have a guy 1 year. Well, in junior college, you're blessed if you've got a sophomore, you know, and we might be heading toward that now and in the new world of college basketball. So as I grew older in coaching, I realized how important that piece was. Yes, you got to find something that fits X's and O's, but that's been much more strategic at the 4-year level than it is at the junior college level. We've had a plan how to replace Kofi for a while, and knew positional size was something we had to do. We weren't going to go replace 7 foot, 300 pounds probably ever again. He might be a once in a lifetime guy, but you still have to mold it together, and the locker room's the whole key. And it's high character dudes that matter.
In talking about molding it in a short amount of time and just knowing the current environment in college basketball, has that helped you be more adaptable than maybe some other coaches out there that aren't liking what this currently looks like?
I don't go out and advertise it, but I hope so. I mean, it's still real early in this process. I hope that plays out to wins. I hope that plays out to success. I love the portal. I mean, it's frustrating because the way it happens and the timing, and I'm not running from the portal. The basis of what I want to build is still with freshmen. That's why we've got 5 of them, and we're going to continue to build and have tremendous relationships, but I'm not going to run from the portal. And I think being able to fit those guys in is something that having a junior college background's really helped me with. And, you've got to do it at a pretty quick rate and build trust and have a relationship. And I think that's something that our staff's very dialed in with. And I hope it plays out with a lot of wins.
Sure, every year is situational with how much experience you have coming back or who you feel good about in terms of a recruiting class. But how do you envision your program going forward, balancing high school recruiting with also being active in the portal?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Pipe. We're going to recruit high school kids, and it's I don't care what anybody tells me. I think that there's, everybody can say that the freshmen should transfer. They're going to transfer. Why are we recruiting them? Great, that's their deal. That doesn't have to be our deal. And I look at the progress that Io DeSumo made in 3 years. I look at what Andres Feliz did coming from a junior college and the success he had. I look at the success of what we did with Alfonso Plummer, who was a transfer. Great, worked. I look at the success of Kofi over 3 years and his transformation. We're going to build with freshmen, but we have to fill in with the key guys that are really important. And I thought we did a great job last year with Plum, that he had a specific set of skills that we needed. He had exactly what we needed. I think we've done that this year. We knew we had Matt and TJ are different. Dane's different. They fit what we're trying to do because of their skill sets, and they're different type players. They're different type athletes. So we're going to keep recruiting high school kids and keep trying to develop them. Hope we don't lose them. I think we got a lot of positives with Ubben being built and about ready to open, and sold out State Farm Center every night, and the winningest program in the Big Ten the last 3 years. I think we got a lot to sell, and I'm not going to venture too far away from what I know and what I feel comfortable with.
What does Brad Underwood look like when he gets a text from a Sky Clark or a Jaden Epps or Sincere Harris or Ty Rogers that says I'm in? What's the celebration of choice?
I don't have a glass of wine here and a cigar. It's the victory cigar. But no, it's really simple, man. To me, it's a marriage. Okay. And you look around our staff, everybody's married and everybody's got families, and it's success, and we recruit to that. And that stuff's really important, is you make relationships work. Well, it's got to be 2 ways. So when you feel that commitment that comes from the other side, we know how we feel about them. And when that feeling that comes across from the other side, because it's right, it's right for us, and you want them to feel that. And when they say, yes, we're in, and that it's right, that's a great feeling. It's as good as it gets. And because there's a great chance that that's going to be a really successful relationship, and because it's for the right reasons.
Coach, you mentioned a specific red that you pulled out for Matthew Meyer when we were talking on the road. I forgot the name. Maybe I could just call up Fred Hoiberg and he'd probably tell me what it is.
Fred could probably tell you about anything and about every berry that was, every grape that was that was put in it. But you know, Fred's got a little of my wine. I've sent him a nice case at the end of the season. But yeah, you enjoy a good glass, and you know, you're not drinking. I better not throw out names of bad wines. I'll get in trouble. But I think we've probably all sampled in our younger days some that weren't top shelf, but we're not breaking those out during recruiting.
Brad can't say it, but I can. There's no Franzia involved when the recruiting gets going.
Let's put it this way: it's not ever going to be in a box.
What have you learned, Brad, when about approaching transfers and how to recruit them? Like, what's the difference when you're looking to get kind of a speed dating guy with the transfer versus maybe having a little more time of getting to know some of these guys when you're on the road and over the process?
Yeah, it's speed dating. It's just fast. And you know, in a lot of these situations, there's and not all of them, there, you know, like TJ, there was a previous relationship. We had him on campus. We knew him. It was a tie back to a home state or whatever the reason. There's usually a reason. There's usually a connection. There's usually some avenue that helps you get involved, and not always, but you know, it's all done much quicker. You spend a lot more time diving in, not just film, but the character and the personal piece is really important. You might have longer conversations because you know you're not going to have as many of them when you talk to kids on the phone. But yeah, it's fact gathering at a expedited rate, and then you've got to make them feel like that they have a place and that they have a home. And you know, our three guys this year, Dane, TJ had been here, and Matt, you know, they didn't take a visit. You know, and that's kind of the new, you know, a lot of the new world with the portal. And so it's got to be a specific reason, and you got to meet those needs. And we obviously felt great about those guys, and we're glad they felt great about us.
Coach, on the recruiting front, also, your team, since you've been here, have had an international flair. And there is a difference between getting a Kofi Coburn who comes over to the States and is established in high school and AAU circles and is very prominently known stateside versus a Zachary Perrine who's over in France and maybe not as well known in the United States. It seems like, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, that you want to continue to be active on players who haven't come over because there is an opportunity there. How have you seen that, and why is maybe that avenue important to your program?
It's always going to be an avenue. It's something we're going to continue to pursue. I love the international kids, and plus I've said it many times, I think it fits our university, but it also fits me. Their skill set, their understanding, their IQ, the fit is good. And you know, now like in Zach's case, I mean, you look at all the competitive basketball he's played this summer, you know, with the French national team and their friendly games, and you know, there's a maturity about him that allows him to be ready. And I think with our winning, our success, they watch basketball over there, and so they've obviously we've upped our brand with those kids. We've upped their brand with their agents, with their programs, their people that coach them. And you know, whether it's a Kofi, whether it's an Io, whether it's Andres Feliz now playing in Spain, and you know, it's all those things become positives for us and help us go that route. And I think it's a great route for us.
Jeff Alexander was out there within the last week at Istanbul for the European Championships in Spain earlier in July, as well as just punching that passport a lot here recently. You enjoying that?
Yeah, he's all trying to just get frequent flyer miles and hotel points, but no, it's Jeff spent a lot of time in Europe throughout his career. And it's just he loves going over there. He loves doing that. He was dead tired today, but he stayed up all night. He watched Zach's game today where he had 18 and 13. France might have one of the best U18 teams in the world. They might be favored to win that. There's a couple other young men that we're recruiting in that process as well over there that he saw. So yeah, great opportunity. And Jeff's got a great background over there and has built a tremendous name for himself in those markets.
I think people might be surprised, even beyond guys you're recruiting. You watch a lot of European basketball, don't you? And just your day to day.
I love it. I love it. And it's fun. It was, watching Thomas walk up, with Olympiacos now and so you see all those European teams, but it's very similar to college and that they're very system based. They have pros, but they're very system based and they run great actions. The talent is extraordinary. And, I think you've got, almost 30% of the NBA is European guys now. So you've got a tremendous amount of talent and good players over there. They've got great size over there. So it's really easy to take in comparison from high level college basketball to the Euro leagues and international basketball and see how that translates and some great coaching over there.
All right, Brad, we know you're running out. Piper's got radio. We have to ask, are you or are you not on Twitter? Because it seems to us that you might be, but you tell us that you're not. So we need to know. So
what's your definition of on Twitter? I can't tell you
enough to roast me and Derek.
How about you're the only two guys I follow? No, that's not true. I'll shut it off October 1st, like I always do, where I won't even read it. But I don't tweet, if that makes sense. So I'll usually, especially during the recruiting season of the summer, I'll usually check in because it's just too good a way to find information. And then I find out who you guys think we should recruit and why we should get somebody and why we shouldn't. And I usually call bullshit on all that, but again, so it goes with the job that I need to do it in the summer, but am I tweeting? No, not unless I really need to get a point across to you guys that you need to eat a salad or ride a bike or, get a tan like Piper needed to this summer with those high tops on it, peach jam.
You know how much natural light he gets in the baby nursery, though.
No.
I mean, hey, don't let anybody think now he was so excited to get to Augusta and peach jam just so he could get. I mean, first game might not be till 10:30. I mean, that dude was so happy to get 10 hours of sleep. It was crazy. And now he played it off like it was miserable being away, but we all know. Believe me, Pipe, I've been there.
I stayed maybe one extra night there. Started the drive on Sunday. Hope the wife doesn't watch this, but nice little transaction on Twitter, though. I mean, we give you the eval notes and you give us the nutritional tips. I think we keep that going.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I want you guys to know that I'm concerned about your well-being and health, and I'm glad you guys are concerned about my future employment, and it's notes well taken and properly dispersed in the trash can.
You went to McDonald's that night. You suggested a salad, just so you know, just to let you know we're keeping up our end of the bargain here.
I greatly appreciate that. I'm glad I could be of. I'm truly glad that somebody actually listens to me.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time. You've seen enough of us today. You had availability and then talking to us in the podcast. We appreciate you being generous with your time. Enjoy a couple of weeks without seeing us, and maybe you get on the golf course a couple of times, a couple of glasses of wine. Enjoy yourself, Coach, and we appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll see you at Memorial Stadium, rooting on the Fighting Illini on the football field. So we'll talk soon. Enjoy it, guys. See ya.
Absolutely. See you later, Coach.